father were arguing, and they had a 3-year-old child, and they had a newborn sibling. And as they were arguing, they overheard the 3-year-old say to the newborn baby, "I need you to tell me about God. I'm starting to forget." You see, the child had forgotten, in the midst of all the turmoil that was going on, who she was. She had forgotten that she was a divine expression of God. So it starts very early. And so it goes. When we enter into this world, we come as pure, loving expressions of God. And then very early on, we begin to forget who we really are. We forget our divine nature and just how special we are. We start to accept all the false beliefs about ourselves that are based on our experiences, what other people tell us, race consciousness, and so on. Not our truth. Okay, so I have forgotten who I was, and this inner longing that I was experiencing put me on a path to reclaim my identity. I was fascinated with the Bible and wanted to learn as much as I could. That longing, however, was intercepted by my teenage years. I no longer wanted to knock on the doors. Didn't want to stand on a corner selling watchtowers and wigs. I was embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to see me. So I had come to a fork in the road. Didn't know which way to go. I chose a path that had many bumps. So we're going to fast forward through those years. Fast forward through all the events that were taking place in my life during these years that were validating my beliefs of who I was, not being good enough. Life was hard. There's not enough, and so on. During these years, I experienced lots of joy and lots of pain. I knew I needed something more. But as I had grown, I knew that what I had learned, I couldn't get from Jehovah's Witness. It didn't resonate with me. So one day I was in the midst of planning a pity party. I could throw a mean pity party, yes. A lot of people would come too. And then one day, my dear friend Rita asked me to come to church with her. It was a New Thought church. And what the minister was saying at the time resonated within me like something, like nothing I had ever heard before. I heard things like, if you change your thinking, you can change your life. There's nothing you cannot do, be, or have, and that I could live a more productive and happier life by trusting in the God that lives inside of me. Wow. This made so much sense to me because what I had learned earlier was really pretty scary. And I started to think, how could a God that was so loving have such fury as which I had learned in the book of Revelations? I was now learning how to accept responsibility for my life having become what it was through my very own thoughts. My own thoughts. It's hard to grasp, but when you go deeper and you start to really trust spirit and trust and understand what you're learning, you learn that your thoughts create your life. They really do. It even made me think about a poem by Nikki Giovanni in which she says, "I'm so hip that even my errors are correct." I want you to think about that and ask yourself, do you accept your failures just as much as you accept your successes? Because if you don't, you should try it. Your failures are just a part of you. They have made you who you are today, just as much as your successes have. They are a part of who you are, divine expressions of God. And in God, there are no mistakes. Now, although this all began to make perfect sense, it took some time for me to really understand what it meant on a deeper level. I knew I had to make some changes, but I was resistant, very resistant. I'll tell you the story. Anybody in here ever have a Jerry curl? Remember Jerry curls? Yeah, we all had them. Okay, just to show you how resistant I was, I remember going to get a Jerry curl. This place in West Philly on 52nd Street, Liz and Daughter. That was the spot in West Philly to get your Jerry curl. So I went, and they put this stuff on my hair, some kind of chemical. And it took an hour and a half to break down my hair. The stylist said, I've never seen it take this long to break down someone's hair. Resistance. Even my hair was resistant. So, you know, when you think about, you know, resistance and, you know, things just blocking you, trying to get in your way to stop you from learning about your truth, that's all it is. And it's just something that you have to push past. And I did. I started coming to the center of peace. And when I came, I was still in the, you know, the mood where I wanted to blame other people for my life, for all the pain that I had experienced and things that had just gone awry in my life. I wanted to blame other people. That was the easy thing to do. I came here, started taking classes. Really beginning to understand on a deep level just how life gets to be the way that it is. And before I realized it, I was studying to become a practitioner. Was not my intent, but it happened. I was learning how to identify all the false beliefs that I was living with, peeling back all the layers of negative thoughts that did not serve me. And then I got sick. In the midst of class, I got sick. It was discovered that my brain was too large for my skull. So there was some overcrowded stuff going on in here. Not enough space. And you know, just a little, when I think about the symbolism of that now, I'm thinking, was that spirit's way? Because what they had to do, they had to go inside, take away part of my skull, and open the lining of my brain to create more space. So now I'm thinking, was that spirit's way of, well, let me backtrack. When they went in, the doctor said that there was so much fluid that just came pouring out of my head because you see my fluid was blocked, had all this pressure up here. When they opened me up, the fluid just poured out. And the doctor said it was so much more than he had expected. So I'm thinking, this is Spirit's way of making room. That fluid that came out represented old thoughts, false beliefs. And I was being allowed, creating more space to let the new thoughts come rushing in. So I had this surgery. It was a rare disorder and a seemingly lack of neurosurgeons in this particular area with the expertise to do the surgery. Now was the time to practice what I had been learning. So I was scared, but I had to move away from my fear.